She burst into my office. She was like, Cory, we have to make some changes on the menu. And I'm like, all right, calm down. Okay, your wedding's after Armageddon. We have plenty of time. And she goes, no, it's very serious, Cory. I just found out that Brian, my fiancé, is allergic to nuts. And I said, and he still wants to marry you. Now I have a teenager. Every time my daughter gets in trouble, I get in bigger trouble. It's the worst. I got a phone call from my daughter's school. This was at the beginning of the school year last year. Picked up the phone, the woman goes, yes, hello, this is Mrs. Schron. So I was like, Mrs. Schlong? All right, so we start off on a bad note. That was my fault. I said, well, can I help you? She said, yes, there was an incident with your daughter today. She said F. I said, well, you know, that was part of the alphabet when I was in school. Pretty sure Sesame Street dedicates a whole day to it, actually. She didn't take too kindly to the comedy, no. She said, well, that's why I'm calling, you see. I understand you're a comedian, and I hope that's not the way you talk at home. So I was like, all right, listen, Mrs. Schlong, you know, I hope you don't think I'm an A or a B. Or, God forbid, a C. But it sounds like you need to lighten up some, yeah. Sounds like maybe you need to get F'd. You know, you may be wondering about this set here, you know. And before I did comedy, I was a catering manager, which meant that I did weddings for a living. Me, the bitter divorced single mother, doing weddings for a living. And I would probably still be doing weddings for a living if it wasn't for this one bride. I'll never forget her. Her wedding was in June of 2014. And she would call me every day. We called her the stalker bride. And the last straw was one day she came in, it was like a Saturday at 5:30, and I was in the middle of another wedding. And she burst into my office. She was like, Cory, we have to make some changes on the menu. And I'm like, all right, calm down. Okay, your wedding's after Armageddon. We have plenty of time. And she goes, no, it's very serious, Cory. I just found out that Brian, my fiancé, is allergic to nuts. And I said, and he still wants to marry you. All right. To myself, I said that. And I said, well, you know, why don't you calm down, call me back on Monday, and we'll go over the menu. She goes, no, we have to decide now because I want to envision my wedding. I said, you want to envision your wedding? All right, I'll help you. You're going to put on a dress, see? And then you're going to walk down an aisle and kiss some guy you've been sleeping with for 3 years. Then your whole family's gonna dive into a shrimp boat like it's feeding time at SeaWorld. Old ladies are gonna call dibs on the centerpieces before the first course goes down. And then you're gonna dance the night away to such wonderful hits as Hot, 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 The Electric Slide, Celebrate by Kool and the Gang, La Bamba, and play that funky music, White Boy. And when it's all over and you go back to the honeymoon suite, you and your new husband will open up the envelopes and find out just how cheap everyone in your family really is. But the most important thing is you're married now, and the next morning when you wake up, the very first thing that you're gonna feel is... Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.